It is Saturday once again from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. This is live from Abuja.
A show that takes you through events that have shaped the week in Nigeria and across the world, from politics, news, entertainment, and sports. I am Ademola Lawrence.
I am Jane Francis Mweze.
It has been a busy one for our reporters across locations as they cover the nationwide protest. While the protests were peaceful in some states, in other states, it spiraled out of control, with security authorities calling for an end to the mayor.
It is with grave sense of responsibility that I address you this evening. You will recall that upon several indications by various groups of their intent to commence a nationwide protest on 1st August 2024, we rolled out several warnings based on actionable intelligence at our disposal, indicating that some groups were mobilizing for violent protest, while some groups claiming to be mobilizing for peaceful protest were doing so with violent undertones, refusing to cooperate with the police on measures to be taken to guarantee peaceful protest. On the basis of this intelligence, the police advised that the protest should be shelved at this instant. Where the organizers insisted on going on with the protest, they were advised to stage the protest in confined locations. This will have enabled the police provide adequate protection for the protesters and isolate the criminals whose intention was to loot and destroy in the name of a protest. This we were doing in furtherance of our duty to protect lives and property and maintaining law and order. While we affirm the constitutional rights of citizens to assemble and express their views on issues of national importance, we were wary about the dangers posed by agitation instigated by some individuals who have shown tendencies to be disloyal to the government of the day. Despite our suspicions, we showed good faith through professional conduct by providing security at strategic locations, all aimed at ensuring peaceful conduct during the protest, as the promoters pledged. Our men, deployed nationwide, went out with a clear brief to ensure that no one is unnecessarily harassed or intimidated. In places where there were court orders, we gave instructions for observance of same. Regrettably, events in some major cities today show that what was being instigated was mass uprising and looting, not protest. Those who were in the forefront of promoting the idea of the protest were not around to lead it. Hoodlums have been let loose on innocent Nigerians and their hard-earned businesses and property looted and destroyed.
For the country, the federal government, the present regime is just there for less than 1 year, and it is not possible for them to have solved every financial, economic, security situation within 1 year. But I'm sure everybody, if we're truthful to ourselves, efforts have been made and have continued to be made. We have seen policies that have been made to address the economic situation on ground, including security situation. Things are improving. We are not where we are, but I can assure you we're heading there. And if we have the support of everyone together, we can bring total peace and the economy will pick up. Just some few days I was in the Niger Delta to also ensure that our production, oil production, increases immediately so that we can have enough funds to fund our economy. So I want to call on all Nigerians to understand with the government. If you have grievances, which I know people have, there are a lot of challenges here and there, and it's not only in Nigeria alone. Everywhere in the world is facing one economic or security crisis or the other. And so it's important to understand that we're not alone. But what we can do is not to allow criminals, individuals that have lost out, to take advantage of this to destroy our country. We should realize that this destruction we're doing, monies have to be used. Monies for development will have to be used to repair these things so that we can move forward.
As business activities slowly begin to pick up, civil society organizations are urging the government to start the processes of reforms that will accelerate development for Nigerians. Supporters of President Bola Tinubu's administration gathered in large numbers, urging protesters to sheath their swords and embrace dialogue.
All right, we'll go straight to our guest now. We have the first guest joining us via Zoom, a public affairs analyst, Oluwakemi Ashekun, and from the United Kingdom. And of course, we'll just speak to him. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Hear you.
Well, it's a live situation. Kemi, good morning, if you can hear us.
I can hear you. Good morning. Good morning. I can hear you.
All right. Okay. So let's start with this. You all stand, of course, on the opposite side of the divide. So what do you think about in the last 48 hours what has happened in Nigeria concerning the nationwide protest?
Well, the last 48 hours have been very sad. Unfortunately, we already did say that this was going to be, hijacked. It's okay to protest. It's understandable that in a democracy, protesting is a right. However, there was intelligence that said that the protest was going to be hijacked, and that was the reason why many of us said no, there shouldn't be a protest. And as we can see now, right, the NCC Industrial Park, for example, in Kano State, has been looted and has been destroyed, something that was being built for the Nigerian youth to be able to export and outsource their own talents to the world. India, for example, will be making about $11 billion this year from outsourcing their tech talents. The 3 million tech talents that of the renewed hope agenda that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, put together under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy was keying into this to enable the Nigerian youth earn money from home, and now that has been destroyed. It's unfortunate that the Nigerian youth are not saying what the government or what the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is trying to put in place to ensure that they are free and able to earn, a legitimate income by themselves. There's the NEL fund that just happened, and the NEL fund guarantees that after you go to school, you can get a job, right? Because if you don't get a job, what happens is you can't pay back the loan you're taking from NEL fund. That's like that's like having a form of agreement with the government that for going to school, you will give me a job. Otherwise, it means I'm going to school for free. These are some of the initiatives that are being put together by this government. Unfortunately, the protesters and their progenitors, the protesters and their protagonists, right, are not seeing this. But it will interest you to know that many of those who are insisting on this protest live outside Nigeria. They do not experience what we're experiencing. They have refused to see the light they refuse to see the light, right, at the end of the tunnel, which some of us who are living here see and are saying there has to be patience. No policy at all can grow in 1 year. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
All right.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, you touched on something, the fact that there's a situation and it's being handled and people would have to be patient. And then the major concerns that people had about, whether we should have a protest or not was the security of the lives of the people who were protesting and other people as well as property. Learning from, what we saw in 2020, do you think we prepared enough for this and this was handled very well in this protest?
Well, how do you prepare for people who want to protest but have a different idea of how they want to protest? The police, in their wisdom, says, let us contain this protest within certain places, the stadium, the Peace Park, and all of that. That if we contain it there, then we will not have looters going to destroy businesses of the common man. That's where the challenge is. It's not about you wanting to protest. You have a right to protest. The common man also has a right to earn a legitimate living. And there are those who live daily on what they earn. So when the police said, contain yourselves in the stadium, for example, at the Peace Park in the Gani Fayemi Park in Lagos and a couple of other places. They refused. And when you refuse, what do you want the police to do? At the end of the day, you can tell that this protest is coming from a bad light. As a matter of fact, it's coming from those who, like the second woman in the King Solomon story, were willing to divide the baby just because it was not her baby. And those are some of the things we need to consider. If Nigeria burns, the rest, whoever is left will be left. And who is gone is gone. But the most important thing to understand is that it's the common man who is suffering from whatever this protest, badly thought of, is. And it will also interest you to know that the person who is actually championing this is someone who receives grants from non-governmental organizations, and he needs to justify whatever grants he gets. Incidentally, he is not protesting physically. He is not here in Nigeria. He doesn't buy the fuel that I buy. I buy fuel, okay. I buy food, I go to the market.
Okay, so okay, I want us to go to the demands of the protesters. I was on the field, so I can tell you firsthand what the demands are. Two of the demands that while I was on the field was the fact that the protesters are clamoring that there should be a reversal of the pump price of the you understand, to what it was before, the fuel pump price, what it was before. And secondly, the electricity tariff is on the high rise, so they are actually demanding for this. Do you feel that these requests are valid at this point of the economic hardship that we face in Nigeria?
Okay, let me start by saying that the economic hardship is everywhere. It's not just a Nigerian thing. When I mentioned the fact that COVID-19 resets the whole world, people, sometimes don't want to agree. But besides the COVID, there was a situation of the Ukraine-Russian war and so many others that have gone afterwards. For those who don't know, the Ukraine, for example, accounts for a large percentage of the wheat that goes into the society, into the world, right? That already is a problem in itself. Now, looking at the demands of the protesters, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was campaigning, one of the first things he said was that he would remove subsidy, and he did not, how do I put it? He did not sugarcoat it. He even said in a video that no matter how long you protest for, I will remove subsidy. Now, of the three major candidates that ran in that election, it was agreed, everyone was agreed that they will remove subsidy, right? Now, for you to know that what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did was the right thing for Nigerians, you would realize that at the point where subsidy was removed, Cameroon was protesting. As a matter of fact, that was where I think the Tinubu must go came from. Can we as a nation subsidize for our neighboring countries? Does it make sense? Is it fair on Nigeria and Nigerians that we should be subsidizing for Cameroon, Benin Republic, Niger, and Co? There is actually an industry that thrives on Nigeria's subsidized fuel. That's a challenge in itself. We are not a rich country. We don't have all the money we think we have. My grandmother will say, "Loju apa gbogbo owo lere," meaning, before someone who wastes money, every amount you earn is believed to be profit. We don't have that type of money. We are not that rich, and that's the absolute truth. Now, talking about this subsidy, we've lived without it for about a year. It's been tough. When you buy fuel, no matter how rich you are, you look at your account and say to yourself, wow. However, are we going to continue to eat our future because we want to maintain our today? Don't we owe it to the children and those yet unborn to give them the kind of Nigeria some of these protesting protagonists have run to in the jackpot that they have jackpot? Don't we owe these children? Don't we owe our future this? Who is going to build Nigeria? Which generation will stand to say they are the generation that stood for Nigeria. That's number one on one side. Let's look at the electricity. And of course, the president said that he will not reduce subsidy.
I'll just appreciate if you can round up. I would just appreciate if you can round that up in the next 30 seconds.
Okay, let me quickly finish with the subsidy thing, right?
Yes.
It's also pertinent to, okay, let me just quickly finish. It's also pertinent to note that the people who make money from our subsidy, have enough money to sponsor protesters. That's another thing you need to think about. The people who are making money, who are milking Nigeria dry, are making enough money to ensure that the subsidy returns. Can we continue to give them that money? That's another question. For the electricity has become more constant. Can we afford to not have light because we don't want to pay? In Ghana, electricity is not cheap. People pay as much as 100,000 naira for electricity in neighboring Ghana. Let's ask ourselves, we need to pick and choose, light or no light. Let's have light and pay for it. Or, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you very much, Olua Kemi Ashikun. Thank you, public affairs analyst, talking about what government should do, and of course how the protesters